The alien research vessel moved silently through deep space, far from any trade route or military patrol. Its surface was smooth and pale, shaped more like a living shell than a machine. Inside, the air was cool and softly lit, filled with quiet hums and slow pulses of light that marked the rhythm of advanced technology. The ship's purpose was simple but dangerous. It was observing humans. For many cycles, the Galactic Council had argued about humanity. Some called humans violent and unstable. Others believed they were adaptable survivors, shaped by a harsh home world. No agreement was reached, so research ships were sent to study them from a safe distance. One of the youngest scientists aboard the vessel was an alien girl named Sarathiel. She was small compared to her species, with smooth, silver-blue skin and large, dark eyes that reflected light like glass. Her kind valued calm minds and emotional balance. Sarathiel had both, but she also had something rare among her people: curiosity. She did not want to study humans only through numbers and distant images. She wanted to understand what it felt like to be one. That desire brought her to the chamber at the center of the ship. The room was circular, filled with floating displays and curved instruments that wrapped around a single platform. At its heart rested a neural interface simulator. The device was designed to translate human sensory data into safe, filtered impressions for alien minds. It was not meant to be immersive. It was meant to observe, nothing more. Senior researchers warned her to keep distance. Human neural patterns were dense, emotional, and unpredictable, but Sarathiel volunteered anyway. "I will only observe," she said calmly. "I will not connect fully." After some hesitation, permission was granted. The device was calibrated to the lowest setting. A human subject was selected from ongoing surveillance, a human soldier stationed on a distant frontier world. He was engaged in routine patrols, nothing extreme, or so the data suggested. Sarathiel stepped onto the platform and lay back as soft restraints gently formed around her arms and torso. Thin threads of light descended and connected to her temples and spine. Her breathing slowed as the system activated. At first it was quiet. She saw vague shapes, flashes of color and sound, the outline of a sky that was too blue, the feeling of weight pressing down on a body that was not hers. Gravity felt heavy, unforgiving. Then the emotional data began to bleed through: alertness, focus, a constant background tension she had never known before. She felt the human's muscles move, the way his body adjusted without thought. Each step carried intention. Each breath was measured. Sarathiel's eyes widened slightly. Humans were never still, even when calm. Suddenly, the environment shifted. Warning signals flared on the ship's consoles. The human soldier was no longer on routine patrol. Hostile movement appeared on his sensors. The situation escalated faster than the alien system could adjust. Before the supervising scientists could disengage the link, the simulator reacted automatically. Safety filters failed. The connection deepened. Sarathiel gasped as sensation flooded her mind. Heat, noise, the sharp crack of weapons, the smell of burned air and metal, fear raw and sudden, but not paralyzing. It sharpened into focus instead. She felt the human's heart racing, his legs moving fast over uneven ground. Pain flashed through his side as something struck him, but he did not stop. He adjusted, shifted weight, and kept going. Her own body on the platform jerked violently. "Sarathiel, disengaging now," a researcher shouted, but the human soldier fell behind cover, breathing hard. He checked his surroundings, mind racing with possibilities. Protect the others. Hold the line. Do not fail. The weight of responsibility crushed her. This was not data. This was experience. Then came the moment that broke her. An explosion thundered nearby. The ground shook. The human was thrown backward, hitting the earth hard. Pain surged through his legs. He tried to move, failed, then forced himself to roll and crawl despite it. Sarathiel screamed. Her alien nervous system was never meant to feel this level of stress, this intensity of survival instinct mixed with fear and determination. The simulator overloaded. The connection snapped. Sarathiel went still. Alarms filled the chamber as medical staff rushed in. The restraints released automatically and she was lifted from the platform and placed onto a medical hoverbed. Her eyes were open but unfocused. Her breathing was fast and shallow. "Sarathiel, can you hear me?" one of the medics asked gently. She tried to answer. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out at first. Panic rose in her chest, cold and sharp. Then words escaped her lips, broken and trembling. I can't move my legs." The room fell silent. Scanners passed over her body, projecting streams of symbols and light. There was no physical damage. Her spine was intact. Neural pathways were responsive, yet something was wrong. Her lower limbs did not respond to commands from her brain. A senior medic frowned. "There is no injury. Her body is refusing movement." Sarathiel's eyes filled with confusion and fear. She tried again, sending the mental signal she had used her entire life to stand, to walk, to move freely. Nothing happened. Her legs felt heavy, distant, like they no longer belonged to her. "It went too far," she whispered. It was too much. The researchers exchanged uneasy looks. This was exactly what they had feared. Human neural patterns were not merely intense, they could overwhelm alien physiology. "She may have suffered permanent neural shock," one scientist said quietly. Her mind shut down motor functions to protect itself. Sarathiel trembled as the realization sank in. She had chosen this. She had wanted to understand humans. Now she could not even stand. As she was moved into a recovery chamber, the ship continued its silent drift through space. But something else drifted as well, data from the failed experiment. Across the stars on the human frontier world, the soldier sat against a wall, breathing hard as medics treated his wounds. His legs ached, but he could move them again. He was alive, yet something felt strange. For a brief moment during the battle, when pain and fear had been strongest, he had felt observed. Not watched by cameras or drones, but sensed, as if someone else had been there with him, feeling everything he felt. He shook his head and dismissed the thought. Stress did strange things to the mind. Back on the alien ship, Sarathiel lay awake in the dim light of the medical bay. Her people spoke softly around her, discussing treatments and containment protocols. Some suggested ending all human interface research immediately. But Sarathiel barely heard them. Her mind replayed fragments of the human experience, the weight of gravity, the burning pain, the refusal to give up even when the body failed. Tears slid silently from the corners of her eyes. Humans lived like this every day. And they still stood. She looked down at her motionless legs, fear tightening her chest. Yet beneath the fear, something else stirred, respect and a quiet, unsettling question. If humans could endure this and keep moving, what did that mean for the galaxy? The experiment was over, but its consequences had only begun. The medical chamber was quiet except for the soft rhythm of machines monitoring Sarathiel's condition. Pale light flowed along the curved walls, changing slowly to match her breathing. Days had passed since the failed experiment, but her legs still did not move. She lay awake most of the time. Her mind was clear. Her thoughts were sharp. Yet every time she tried to command her legs, nothing happened. It felt as if an invisible wall stood between her will and her body. The doctors had confirmed it again and again. There was no physical damage, no broken nerve, no poison, no disease. Her body was healthy. Her mind was afraid. Among her people, fear was something carefully managed. Their society was built to avoid extremes. They believed strong emotions caused instability and collapse. That belief had guided them for thousands of cycles, but Sarathiel had touched a mind shaped by danger. She had felt fear that did not freeze the body but forced it forward. That contradiction confused her mind deeply. Outside her chamber, debates spread across the ship. Some researchers argued that all human studies must stop immediately. Others believed the accident proved how dangerous humans truly were. They live in constant crisis, one senior scientist said. Their minds are shaped by violence and pain. No balanced species should interact with them directly. But she survived, another replied. Her mind did not break, it adapted. The discussion never reached her ears directly, but she sensed the tension in every interaction. Guards stood near her chamber now, not to protect her but to protect others from what she represented. The proof that humans were not safe to touch. On the fourth cycle, a new voice entered the chamber. Calm, steady, familiar. Sarathiel, the voice said gently. She turned her head. Elder Talaris stood beside her bed. He was one of the oldest minds aboard the vessel, respected for his patience and deep understanding of alien psychology. He had approved the experiment, and now he looked at her with something close to regret. "I am sorry," he said simply. "We should not have allowed you to take that risk." She studied his face for a long moment, then she spoke quietly. "I chose it." "Yes," he agreed, "but choice does not remove responsibility, especially mine." He gestured and the medical displays shifted. Images appeared, neural maps, emotional data, recorded fragments of the human soldier's mind. "We believe your paralysis is not damage," Talaris said. "It is a response. Your mind encountered a level of emotional pressure it could not process, so it stopped your body instead." Sarathiel swallowed. "Then I will never move again." "That is not certain," he replied, "but recovery requires something dangerous." She looked at him sharply. "More danger, understanding," he said. "True understanding, not filtered impressions, not fragments." Her eyes widened slowly as she realized what he meant. "You want me to reconnect?" Talaris nodded, carefully, with consent. "The human is aware now. He felt the echo of your presence during the battle. He has agreed to communicate." Fear surged through her. Her chest tightened and for a moment the room felt too small. "I barely survived," she whispered. "And yet," Talaris said softly, "you survived." She closed her eyes. In the darkness, memories returned, heat, noise, pain, and beneath it all, something stronger than fear. A refusal to stop. "I don't want to feel that again," she said honestly. "You already do," he replied. "Every time you try to move." She understood then. Her legs were not frozen by weakness. They were frozen by memory. After a long silence, she nodded once. The reconnection chamber was different this time. Smaller, controlled. No simulation of environment, only thought to thought. Sarathiel lay still as the interface activated. Her heart beat fast, but she forced herself to breathe slowly. The link formed gently, like two minds touching across distance. At first there was nothing, then a presence, strong, focused, tired. "Hello," a voice echoed, not in sound but in meaning. The human soldier sat in a medical tent on his world, eyes closed, connected through a secure communication array. He had been told the truth, that an alien mind had experienced his battle and been injured by it. He did not know how to feel about that. "I'm here," Sarathiel replied, her thought trembling. There was a pause, then curiosity. "You're the one who felt it," he said. "The fight." "Yes," she answered. "I didn't know it would be like that." A faint sense of surprise passed through him. Most people don't. Images flowed between them, not memories forced upon her but shared willingly. He showed her moments of rest, of sitting quietly, cleaning equipment, watching the sky after combat. "This is also human," he said, "not just the fighting." She felt the difference immediately. The tension eased slightly. His mind was still heavy but calmer now. "Why didn't you stop?" she asked softly. "When you were hurt?" The answer came without hesitation. "Because others were counting on me." The simplicity of it stunned her. "You felt fear," she said. "So much fear." "Every time," he replied. "But fear doesn't mean stop, it means be careful." Her mind struggled with that concept. Among her people, fear was a warning to retreat. For humans, it was a signal to focus. "I felt your legs stop," he said suddenly. When the link broke, I felt something go quiet. Her chest tightened. I thought I was broken. You're not, he said firmly. You just hit your limit. She hesitated. Humans don't have limits. He let out a tired mental laugh. We do. We just learn where they are by hitting them. Slowly, carefully, he shared something deeper, memories of recovery, of learning to walk again after earlier injuries, the frustration, the pain, the anger, but also the practice, the repetition, the patience. Movement isn't just command, he said. Sometimes it's trust, trust that your body will respond if you let it. Sarathiel focused on her legs, not forcing them, not demanding, just acknowledging them. A faint sensation flickered. She gasped. The doctors watching the monitors froze as neural signals spiked gently, not violently. Again, the human said calmly. Don't rush. She tried once more. Her toes twitched. Tears streamed down her face as the chamber erupted into quiet activity. Medics adjusted settings, voices hushed but urgent. She wasn't standing, but she wasn't frozen anymore. The connection faded slowly, safely. Before it ended completely, she sent one final thought. Thank you. The response came warm and steady. Anytime. After that day, progress was slow but real. Small movements, tremors, pain that frightened her at first until she recognized it. It was not damage, it was effort. Some aboard the ship still feared humans. Others began to rethink everything they believed about strength and balance. Sarathiel practiced every cycle, guided by human recovery data and her own growing courage. Each movement felt like stepping into uncertainty, but she no longer believed uncertainty meant danger. As the ship adjusted its course back toward Council space, a new report was being written, one that would change how humans were seen forever. And Sarathiel, though still unable to walk freely, was no longer afraid to try. She had learned something her people never had before. Sometimes the only way forward was through fear, not away from it. The first time Sarathiel stood, it was not heroic. Her legs shook so badly that two medics had to hold her upright. Pain ran through her lower body in sharp waves, and fear pressed hard against her chest. She lasted only a few seconds before her knees gave out and she was gently lowered back onto the medical platform. Yet the room was silent in a way it had never been before. Not tense, not fearful, hopeful, because she had stood. Word spread quickly across the research vessel. The alien girl who could not move her legs was moving again. Slowly, weakly, but moving. Some celebrated quietly. Others watched with concern, worried about what this meant for their understanding of safety and control. Sarathiel did not think about any of that. Every day became simple in her mind. Try again. Breathe. Trust. She reconnected with the human soldier several more times, but not for battle memories. This time he shared moments of endurance, long marches, training sessions, standing guard for hours even when tired. The small choices humans made every day to keep going. You don't win by being strong all the time, he told her during one session. You win by not quitting when you're weak. Those words stayed with her. Her people had always believed weakness was something to hide or avoid. Humans treated it like a temporary state. On the 12th cycle of recovery, Sarathiel took her first step on her own. It was barely a step. Her foot slid forward a short distance and she nearly fell. But she caught herself using a support rail, heart pounding. She laughed then. A sound that surprised everyone in the room, including herself. It came out shaky and wet with tears, but it was real. She was learning something no alien before her had learned through experience. Fear did not mean stop. Fear meant careful movement forward. That lesson came just in time. The research vessel's long-range sensors detected incoming ships without warning. Not council vessels, not trade craft, raiders. A hostile faction that preyed on isolated research ships, believing them weak and unwilling to fight. They had attacked similar vessels before, stealing technology and captives. The bridge filled with sharp voices and flashing alerts. Defensive systems activated, but the ship was not designed for combat. Its shields were light, its weapons minimal. Panic spread quickly. "We should retreat immediately," one officer said. "They will intercept us before we can jump," another replied. Sarathiel felt the change in the ship's atmosphere even from the medical wing. The quiet hum shifted into something faster, sharper. She closed her eyes. This feeling, she recognized it. Fear. Not the overwhelming kind from the battlefield memory, but the heavy, pressing kind that came before a decision. She pushed herself upright, ignoring the protest in her legs. A medic rushed toward her. "You must remain seated," they said urgently. "No," she replied, voice steady despite the strain. "I can help." They hesitated. Then Elder Talaris appeared at the doorway. "Let her try," he said quietly. Supported, Sarathiel was moved to a command interface station in the medical wing. Her legs trembled the entire time, but she stayed upright. She focused on breathing, on balance. Data streamed across the displays. Raider ships moved aggressively, confident and fast. Sarathiel studied their patterns. Something clicked in her mind. "They think we will flee," she said. "They expect fear to slow us." Several officers looked at her in surprise. She continued, more confident now. "Humans respond differently. When threatened, they do not retreat blindly. They adapt." Using the shared neural data from her connection with the human soldier, she suggested small but unexpected maneuvers. Short bursts of engine output, irregular shield modulation, defensive positioning that made the ship appear more capable than it was. It was risky, but so was doing nothing. The bridge followed her guidance. The raiders hesitated when the research vessel did not behave like prey. Their first attack missed as the ship adjusted its orientation at the last second. Defensive pulses disrupted their targeting systems just enough to force them back. Confusion spread among the attackers. "Maintain pressure," Sarathiel said, legs shaking violently now. Sweat beaded on her skin, but she did not sit down. "They will test us. We must show we will not break." The ship took damage. Alarms sounded. Fear surged again, stronger this time. She remembered the human soldier crawling forward despite injured legs. She tightened her grip on the console. "Hold," she whispered. The vessel's final defensive maneuver caught the raiders off guard. One attacker veered off course. Another disengaged, unwilling to risk further loss. Within moments, the remaining ships withdrew. Silence returned. Slowly, disbelief turned into relief. The research vessel was damaged but alive. Sarathiel collapsed into a chair, legs finally giving out. Medics rushed to her side, but she was smiling through exhaustion and tears. "We stood," she said softly. In the cycles that followed, repairs were made and reports were written. But the most important report came from Sarathiel herself. She addressed the Galactic Council through a secure transmission, standing with assistants before the recording device. Her legs trembled, but she did not hide it. "I connected with a human mind," she began. "I experienced fear, pain, and responsibility beyond anything our species has known." Some council members shifted uncomfortably. "I was injured not because humans are dangerous," she continued, "but because I did not understand how they live." She spoke of recovery, of choice, of standing again despite fear. "Humans are not reckless," she said. "They are resilient. They do not move because it is easy. They move because stopping would mean loss." The council listened in silence. Her final words were simple. "If we judge them only by their battles, we misunderstand them. If we learn from how they endure, we may survive what is coming." When the transmission ended, Sarathiel sat down slowly, exhausted but calm. Days later, she stood without support for the first time, just for a moment, long enough to feel steady. She reconnected with the human soldier one last time to tell him what had happened. "You helped us," she said, without knowing it. There was quiet pride in his response. "That's what we do." As the research vessel set a new course, this time toward open cooperation rather than distant observation, Sarathiel looked out at the stars. She was still afraid sometimes, But now she knew fear did not mean she was weak. It meant she was alive, and like humans, she would keep moving.